What's up, guys?
On this week's show,
Deadpool 2 review,
video game addicts,
and straight out of Bohemia,
plus
dumb shit of the week.
All that and more on this episode
of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared. And with me is my co-host, DJ Melly Mel.
Hey!
So, we saw a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not together.
For the first time.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, not the first time ever, but you know.
No, but the first time since we started our show. And
Sure.
doing reviews.
Well, as far as they know, it could be the first time ever. Sure. We'll go with that. We've never seen a movie separately.
No.
We were in like the incubation things at the hospital, and they had us together, and we were watching I don't know, what would they show babies? Nothing. I don't know.
With you always is cars.
Right. There you go. But so yeah, so we saw a movie, and if you listen to the intro and or read the title, you know what it is, but that's going to be a little bit later. But first, I wanted to talk about a trailer that just came out, I think like yesterday, and I knew that this was in the works. I thought that they had maybe decided not to put it out because of the movie that came out just before it, but Mowgli, the movie, is coming out, which, first thing right out the gate, the title is stupid.
Yes, it is.
Like
it's the Jungle Book. Come on, people.
They've made so many Jungle Book movies at this point, and especially because the Jungle Book movie from Disney just came out 2 years ago, that it's like, okay, we have to differentiate this somehow from the other versions, so we'll just call it Mowgli. Okay. So in the trailer, they have a pretty like all-star cast of voice actors for this. There's Christian Bale, Benedict Cumberbatch, Cate Blanchett, Andy Serkis, and I think there's someone else too that I'm missing. Anyway, not important. In the trailer, it opens with not Shere Khan. Who do we say it was? We figured it out.
Bashira.
Yeah, Bashira.
I can never remember that damn name.
And he's talking to Mowgli in a cage, and the voice acting is really good. The Panther is Christian Bale, I believe, and he actually sounds really good. And they're showing Mowgli, he's like scratching at the cage and biting it and trying to get out. And then they show the Panther come up to Mowgli, and he's still speaking. And there was just something weird about his face. Now, Andy Serkis is known more than anything for his motion capture performances. Like, he's been Gollum. He played King Kong in the King Kong movie that Peter Jackson made. He's pretty much he's Caesar in the Planet of the Apes movies. Pretty much anything lately that's had motion capture that wasn't like a big name actor that you knew, it was probably Andy Serkis. And so it makes sense that he would probably more than most likely be really hands-on with the mocap and stuff, because he knows what he's doing. He has experience with it. He's been successful with it. Hell, he pretty much made a whole acting career off of dots on his face and a white jumpsuit and shit. Like, if I could be on set for one of these movies, I'm sure I would just be sitting there like, this is the dumbest fucking shit. And it's like, and you got to pretend like he's an ape, and he's like walking around like, and it's like, oh God, this is so dumb. But so because he's so familiar with the technology and things like that, I think that he probably has a lot more hands-on approach to the motion capture, and it looks too human to me almost. Like, when he was talking and like his facial expressions, even when they showed Shere Khan, and when he was talking, I was like, it looks like they like, what's the word I want to use? Like morphed a human and an animal's face together. Yeah. It's like, I get it. They have to have some kind of human characteristics to make them emote properly and make it make sense. But in the 2016 Jungle Book, they were able to make them look like animals who could just talk. They weren't necessarily using human features to make it, look right.
Right.
It was just like, hey, it's an animal, but it can talk. And this, I don't know, there was just something. It was hitting that kind of uncanny valley thing where it's like, it's not quite real enough to be convincing, but it's so close that it's weird. That's that uncanny valley right in between that. But just off of what they presented to you, we all know the story of the Jungle Book. We all know how this plays out. What did you think of this like darker take that they're trying to have on it?
I don't know. The trailer reads a lot like the other versions of the Jungle Book. You got Mowgli, and he's an outcast, and he's raised by the wolves, and then he's sent to the village because it'll be better for him, and then the village sees him as an outcast, so they lock him up, and then he's like, well, I don't belong in the village, but I belong with you, but I'm not part of the wolf pack anymore.
Right.
He's like, I'm somewhere in between. It kind of had like that Tarzan-y feel to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tarzan's always been that kind of shifted outcast thing. Mowgli's always been that shifted outcast kind of thing. Yeah, I looked at it and I'm like, oh, another Jungle Book. And then they called it Mowgli, and I'm like, oh, another Jungle Book.
Did you feel like they had to kind of go out of their way in the trailer to try and make it be like, oh, this isn't your daddy's Jungle Book, this is
they have the dark elements,
right? This is Jungle Book After Dark, because it's all like they literally say in the trailer,
dragging his paw, and
exaggerated. I think there's a graphic that comes up in the middle of the trailer. And it's like, the darkest telling of the story ever. And I'm like, and now this is also made by Warner Brothers, too. I don't think I said that in the beginning. And I'm like, y'all just won't learn, will you? It's like, it's like they have a bucket of like liquid angst and depression.
I'll say.
And they just pour it over every movie that they make. It's like gravy.
They've got these emo from the 2000s directors coming in, and they're like,
it's like
dark.
It's like, I don't get it. Like, people's biggest complaint about the DCEU is that it's too dark and dour and serious. And they're like, oh, okay, so we'll make these lighter, and then we'll make the Jungle Book dark and dour and serious. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. I'm like, who is running that goddamn studio? Like, please stop. Now everything needs to be The Dark Knight. Like, stop trying to make everything this dark, super serious. Like, this is for real. I'm like, you have talking gorillas and shit in this. Like, stop trying to make this a serious movie.
Yeah, you have a bear named Baloo. Come on now.
Yeah, it can be comical, or it can be serious and comical at the same time. You can strike a good balance between the tones.
Sure.
I don't know, man. They just can't seem to do that. I just feel like everybody over there is on like antidepressants and shit. And they just need a pick me up. And it's just like, y'all need to get laid, or something needs to happen to get y'all out of this funk that you're in.
They need something, because
it's like when you break up with your significant other, and then all you do for like that first week is just listen to sad songs and shit that makes you cry. It's like you feed into. Here we go. Perfect example. When you're crying, as you often do, at least I do.
I was going to say, wait a minute here.
But, and you're having one of them, like, bad, like, I'm crocodile tears, snot's coming out of my nose, like, I'm bawling crying.
Yeah.
You ever do that thing where you get up and you go look at yourself in the bathroom while you're crying to see what your face looks like?
God, I'm an ugly crier.
Right, and then you stand there and you look at yourself and you keep crying in the mirror. That is Warner Brothers in a nutshell. It's like they are indulging in the depression, and it's like, I am sad and I want to keep this going, so I'm going to go look at myself and then cry at how sad I am. Like, oh my God. So yeah, like there's elements of this that looks cool. I am really interested to see this because Andy Serkis is directing this, and I think this is his first like big feature film. I think he's directed some other smaller movies in the past, but this is his first like big movie. So I want to give it a shot because I like Andy Serkis. I think he's a really good actor, and I want to see him grow in his craft. So hopefully it's good. But I don't know. It's like if they're going to turn it into, I don't know. Look,
the Darkest Night.
Oh, God. Look, when you make Superman pouty, then at that point, you know you've lost your way. It's like, come on, guys. Like, when we make Superman need, I don't know, a Coke and a smile, then we fucked up and we've gone off the rails. And now we're doing it to everything else. It's like, oh, all of your favorite things from your childhood. Like, what is the most objectively lighthearted and fun thing that you can remember from your childhood?
Winnie the Pooh.
There we go. Oh, well,
No.
is Warner Brothers making that Winnie the Pooh movie? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Because remember, I said that was like some horror movie shit when he came out from, he's like, Christopher Robin. I can't do the voice.
We've already established you can't do impressions.
Anyway, moving on. But I did just want to bring that up because I was like, I think there's merit to trying to tweak the way this story's been told in the past.
Sure.
I don't necessarily think, though, that this is the time to do it. I think it's too close to the last one, and it's going to draw too many comparisons to the Disney's Jungle Book. Because that movie was awesome. Like, I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah,
it was great.
We saw it opening night.
And I mean, come on. Like, seriously, you cannot top Christopher Walken as King Louis.
Yeah, that was great.
It's like, come on. Like, who are you going to get to be King Louis? Like, whatever. Whoever they have, you're not Christopher Walken, so it's like, come on.
Even a King Louis.
I did see some monkeys in
Did
the
you?
trailer,
Okay,
so yeah,
okay.
I think they're going to show up. I mean, look, if they're telling the Jungle Book story, they have to tell, the part with King Louis. But it's weird because I don't remember, I don't think I've ever read the actual Jungle book, and I don't remember the cartoon well enough, but I thought that when he goes back to the village, they just accept him, and that's how it ends. I didn't think that, like, he got casted or, like, he was an outcast within the village and then he leaves and comes back to the jungle. I just figured, I always thought he just stayed.
Like they did, at first, they kind of looked at him like he was weird.
Sure.
He would act like a wolf or a bear, and they'd all laugh at him. And I think there was one version where he ended up running away again.
Okay.
So maybe that's what they're trying to base it off of.
Maybe. Because like you were saying about, King Louis might not be in this, because if this takes place after he's going back to the village, I think that is after he's already met King Louis and all that, so we may not see him in it.
Yeah, because Shere Khan kind of looked like he had been through life a
little bit. Yeah, he was like, welcome back and all that shit.
He's got that scrapey paw and...
this motherfucking guy,
like
peg leg,
like he's getting old.
Yeah, well, yeah, he looked like he done been through some shit. He done seen some shit for real. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to get that in there because I was like, okay, Andy Serkis, do your thing. I'll support it. But so there was this story that I saw about video game addiction. Apparently there is, and let me go ahead and pull this up real quick from my sources. Let's see what we got here. Okay. So there is okay. So I'm getting this from sportsillustrated.com. It says, NHL reporter Jeff Merrick relayed the story on the Sportsnet podcast, 31 Thoughts. Here is a transcription via Deadspin. Okay. He says, on video games, and I'm not going to say the player's name, I really doubt he's going to make it to the NHL. And it's because of a video game addiction, to the point where his junior general manager told me that they've had him go to counseling over it, because he'll play until all hours of the night and into the morning, and then he'll have no energy for the next day. Like, he'll be a write-off, and it's not, and it is that bad. He has this compulsion for playing video games until all hours. I swore that I wouldn't say the player's name, but it's unfortunate. He's a recent first-round draft pick for a very, very prominent NHL team, and will probably never play in the NHL because of a video game addiction. And there's a little bit more. I wanted to classify this. Mm-hmm. So, like you heard in the story, there is this guy who will remain unnamed. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. But he's basically so addicted to video games that he misses practice and all this other kind of shit, or is just, completely drained to the point where he's no good on the ice. And it's like, you're going to throw away a multi-million-dollar career that can get you all kind of doors open for you for other, revenue streams over fucking Fortnite. Like, now I don't know if it's specifically that game, but it's just like, really?
Well, I mean, it's the same as any other addiction. People throw away, careers and families and lives for what? Heroin, alcohol, sex. I mean, take
heroin is a lot better than Fortnite. I'm just gonna put that on there. No, but okay. So you are absolutely right. Video game addiction is just as valid an addiction as alcoholism, as substance abuse, anything else that you can think of. Being a sex addict, like video game addiction is a real thing. And us living in this modern time and constantly coming up with new things technologically wise and just keep moving forward, more shit like this is going to start happening where we're not used to even thinking about these things in an addictive manner or in a harmful way. But because technology is being integrated more and more into your everyday life, this kind of shit's going to happen. Like, for example, it says, I got here, in May 2013, the American Psychiatric Association, APA, declined to include video game addiction in the 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders.
DCSM.
There you go. And they said that, concluding that there was insufficient evidence to include it as an official mental disorder. However, proposed criteria for internet gaming disorder were included in a section called Conditions for Further Study. Mm-hmm. So
that just means they haven't done enough studies.
Sure.
We have
to make a conclusive.
Right. Yeah. We have all of this technology that's been introduced in the last 5 years.
Sure.
Studies like this usually take, twice that.
Sure.
Or if not longer. They'll do lifelong studies on certain candidates for certain subjects. Mm-hmm. So
and I appreciate the fact that there's an actual legitimate organization or body of physicians, psychiatrists, whatever, that are acknowledging, like, yes, we can't conclusively say that video game addiction is a thing, is a disorder, but we will look into or we do suggest further studies on this to get a conclusive, argument or evidence on this, because it is an issue.
Right. They're not saying that it's not an issue, but they're not saying that it isn't an issue.
Right. Because to be totally frank with you, video games are made... There's a science behind this shit.
Sure.
They're not just throwing a bunch of pixels together and zeros and ones, and they're just like, oh, it'd be cool if you could do this in this level. And it's a whole lot more than that. There's intervals that, especially not every game, but certain games, there's intervals that you get prizes and different achievements and things like that to stimulate the pleasure centers of your brain and then make you want to keep going.
Sure.
It's like a drug dealer. It's like they give you a taste and then they just keep giving you a taste to keep you coming back. So, yeah, it's like, hey, I throw you a bone every 6 or 7 hours or something, let you level up or something, you'll keep playing for the next week. It's like, so it's... And a lot of these things, which I talked about a long time ago now, about microtransactions and stuff like that, like they have figured out a science to get you to want to buy shit and keep playing and investing money into it. So for them to, for some people to kind of wave off video game addiction, like, oh, well, that's not really a thing. You just need to get a job or get off your ass or whatever. It's like, look at this dude. Like, this dude is about to lose a career that some people would kill to have over his video game addiction. And like they even say in the article, they've sent him to counseling and camps and all kind of shit. Still not helping him. So, I mean, it is... I don't think it's quite like a state of emergency, like, oh my God, stop your kid from playing a game right now, throw your Xbox out the window.
You need to monitor things, just like everything else we've said. You need to monitor your kids, and you need to...
And adults, too.
Monitor yourself and keep yourself in check. Hey, this is... something I do for fun, and don't bring it past that. If I blow off some steam after I get out of work for, I work 12 hours, let's go home and play a video game. Sure. But don't, it shouldn't be the other way where you just played the game for 12 hours and now you got to go to work.
Like you have to ration out your free time and prioritize your life around that. Or no, I'm sorry, your gaming time should be prioritized around your life and not the other way around.
Right. I knew what you were saying, and it sounded right going in.
Right. In my mind, it was perfect. It didn't quite come out that way. But I would like to see the government kind of step in to some degree. I don't know, and see, I'm already regretting saying
you're
that at the
gonna
moment.
catch all
No. Hear me out. This is my argument. I feel that in any kind of market situation, whatever, if there are no regulations put on anything, it'll just be chaos. And people will always take advantage of the chaos. So there has to be some kind of something. I mean, I don't know if maybe a prompt that pops up during the game that say, hey, we see you've been playing this for like 8 hours straight. You know, maybe you want to take a break, go outside, you know, I don't know, talk to your kids, like, I don't know, see your family again, like, I don't know, you know.
Check on your kids.
Right, something, right. Do you know where your family is right now? It's 3 a.m. But at the same time, I would be kind of afraid if they actually started placing regulations, because the government can never do anything right. And I feel like that goes for damn near any governing body of any country. But it's like the moment they try and fix something, they just fuck it up and make it worse or go overboard. Like the reason that there are ratings on video games is because the video game industry decided they needed to police themselves, because they were afraid, okay, if the government comes in here and they have control over how this shit's regulated and what we rate shit and what kind of content we can make, then we're going down a slippery slope of issues that we may never come back from.
Sure.
So if we police ourselves and say, hey, we're going to make this rating system, we're going to abide by these things, you know, these can't be sold to minors if it has this kind of rating, yada, yada, yada. And then that kind of got the government off their backs, because this was back when Doom and Mortal Kombat was coming out. And they're like, these video games are so violent, they're going to make all our kids crazy and shit. And I was like, come on. That's why when people are like, oh yeah, you know, these school shootings and video games. And I was like, I grew up with so much fucking crazy shit. If we're going to use that as a excuse for why this is happening, everybody that's a 20 to 30 something should be serial killers. Like legit. Because the shit that we grew up on in the 80s and 90s was crazy, you know what I'm saying? Even for that time.
Swords. Come on now.
Right. Which I never mind.
just let me have that joke.
Okay? No. You can have the joke, but I hate that in the newer like Ninja Turtles cartoons and stuff that Leonardo and Raphael barely ever use their weapons, or when they do use them, like if you ever remember the cartoon from the 90s, if they ever did use their swords in size, they weren't ever in a way that they would hurt someone.
Right. They were always as a defense. Right.
It was either defense, or like he'd hit him with a handle, or they'd like hang somebody from something, a wall or something with the sword. Yeah, but they'd never like stab a motherfucker. Yeah.
Their skin.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, well,
I haven't seen the current cartoons. Do they stab people?
No. That's the thing. It's like they have these weapons, but they can't use them in the cartoons and shit because it has to be kid friendly. So it's like, well, maybe they shouldn't have swords and knives. That's why I don't get, you know, all the cartoon shit for like Wolverine and why everybody, like, they try to push him on kids so much. Because I'm like, he literally stabs people. That is his power. Fuck the regeneration and all that. He literally stabs people to death. That is his superpower. Yeah. He has knives in his fucking hands. Like, anyway. But yes, I would like to see somebody, even if it's the video game industry itself, going in like, okay, like, people's lives are being destroyed behind some of these things, because not necessarily because of what we're doing per se, but then again, at the same time, it's like, well, we're making the game to make you want to keep playing it.
Right.
So it's like, yes, you have an active role in this as well, but I mean, who knows? But I did want to say, a guy who does a podcast is called the Cabinet Podcast. And if you can hear my voice and you even kind of like video games or just ghost stories or anything like that, go listen to the Cabinet Podcast. It's great. But basically, he talks about like a lot of like creepypasta stories like related to video games.
Okay.
So it'll be either about games or gaming or something like that. And on one of his episodes, he discusses, I think it's called the Marathon Men episode. And he discusses people who died from playing video games until they died. So there was like 2 stories, I think, that were in China of kids who were in like coffee shops or like at home or something like that. Or like internet cafes, basically.
So like they're playing video games and they have heart attacks or something?
No,
or?
Just die from exhaustion. There was a kid that was playing, I don't know if it was World of Warcraft or something like that, but he was playing some PC game for 3 days straight.
Oh my God.
And only stopped to use the bathroom and occasionally eat. And he finally just died of exhaustion. Like he would take little like micro naps throughout the day. And like he had been in the internet cafe for so long that the people just assumed, oh, he's just taking a nap again.
Right.
And then when they went to go check on him, he was fucking dead. He died of exhaustion from just playing video games. And I was just like, wow. And they have camps in China, like legit like internment camps type shit, where parents will send, or the schools or somebody will send these kids there to break them of their video game addiction. And honestly, all they're doing is like torturing and beating the kids and just trying to kind of like those conversion camps, those Christian conversions. We'll pray the gay out of you or beat the gay out of you.
Beat the video games out of you.
Basically, pretty much. And it's terrible. But see, that's what worries me, is that our country will see that kind of shit and then be like, oh, well, it's gotten so bad to where they throwing these motherfuckers in fucking camps and shit to stop them from doing this. So we got to just cut out everything. And trust, with the political climate that we are in currently, man, people are jumping to extremes left and right. So I feel that this doesn't get enough attention and that it does need to be addressed to some degree or another. But
right, because this guy's like a professional hockey player.
Yeah.
You know, if it can happen to... It's one thing if it's happening to like all these little school kids.
Sure.
But it's got a wide range. And I don't want it to sound like I'm okay with it. Your kids being okay addicted to video games. That's not what I'm saying.
Sure.
People are assuming that it's just one demographic.
Right.
Of these kids, little kids or prepubescent teens playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, it's crossing, going from age ranges to professionals to, people with money, people without money. It's crossing a lot of demographics here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something very serious.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. But see, I'm afraid because somebody's going to hear us and they're going to be like, ban all video games. Like, no, that's not the answer. But we do need to kind of at least acknowledge that there is a problem. And maybe we should try and think of how we can, in the least invasive way possible, try and curb some of these behaviors in these people.
Sure.
Because, I mean, honestly, you can get addicted to anything. If you have an addictive personality or you're prone to addiction, you can get addicted to literally anything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, careful, kids. Next time you're on one of your raids and one of your MMOs and, you look at the clock and it's been 6 hours.
And go play outside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't necessarily have to play outside, but just break away unplug from the Matrix just for a little bit. You'll be all right, Neo. Just calm down. Trinity will still be there waiting for you.
I like that.
What was the name of the Zion is still there waiting for you, so don't worry. Anywho, moving on. So they are finally and this you're right, and this will be addressing the part at the beginning of the episode in the name about Straight Outta Bohemia. This is what that's about. So they are finally making a Queen biopic. Finally. It's going to be called Bohemian Rhapsody. And it's about Queen, how they started, their rise to fame, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it looks like it goes over a pretty decent amount of time through out their career. And I'm actually shocked because as well received as Straight Outta Compton was, I thought we would just start getting, music biopics about, bands and singers just every other week, because there was entire memes that just came just out of the Straight Outta Compton font. It was like everything was straight out of something, so I was just like and Bye Felicia, that came back and everything else. And I was surprised it took as long for this movie to come out as it did, because I was like, that, kind of made people go like, yeah, we do like these things, because Ray is another biopic which I really enjoy.
Yes, Ray was a good one.
I even like the comedy parody ones like Walk Hard. That's a parody of those like I think it's a parody of like the Johnny Cash biopic or something like that. But it's fucking hilarious.
We've had several Johnny Cash. There's the Walk the Line, and then there was one called Man in Black, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Men in Black. The Man in Black.
Here comes the Man in Black. Not that.
No, the Man in Black.
But yeah, no. I love Queen. I fucking love Queen.
Yes.
Like, and it's funny because I say that, and I'm lying. I love Queen's music. I don't know jack shit about Queen as a band. Right. I know Freddie Mercury is the lead singer, and I know they're called Queen, and I think they're British. But that's all I got. That I don't know how they came together. I don't know the other band members' names. I don't know how long they stayed together, if they still play, if any of the members are alive. I know Freddie Mercury was gay, he had AIDS, and he's dead. That's all I know. And they made some awesome fucking songs. So this will help fill in a whole bunch of gaps in my Queen knowledge. But Queen, I am fascinated by their music and their sound and just how. Okay, so a little insight into Mike C Squared. One of my favorite bands, probably my favorite band, like hands down, is Muse. And I think I like Muse so much because they remind me so much of Queen.
Makes sense.
Because they got a lot of falsetto singing and it's like this rock opera mashup shit that they do, and it works. And I'm like, and some people compare them to like Radiohead and things like that, and I could see the comparisons that could be drawn, sure, but welcome to Music Talk. but I'm just fascinated by Queen.
Music Talk After Dark.
Right, there you go. Yeah. Oh, real quick sidebar. Remember that joke I made about how Disney could keep the Fox channel to put some of their more adult shit on, and the Disney After Dark? There's a podcast called Disney After Dark. Nice. I think it's just called Diz After Dark, not the whole thing Disney. But I was like, oh, never mind. Can't copyright that one. Damn. Somebody got to beat us to it first. Anyway, I lost my train of thought.
Talking about Queen and Radiohead and
and Muse and all that. Okay, yeah. But yeah, no, I'm fascinated by their music, and I really, really, really like what they did in the trailer. How they like took elements of different all their songs,
yes,
and mashed together. They were doing like "We Will Rock You" was like mashed together with Bohemian Rhapsody and like Killer Queen and shit like that. And I was like, wow, this is really cool how they're doing this. Did you ever see the movie? It was a musical. And all the songs were Beatles songs?
No.
Across the universe.
Okay.
No? Nothing? Okay. She's like, sure, yeah, motherfucking no. But Across the Universe is this, it's just a made-up story that has nothing to do with the Beatles at all, but all the songs are Beatles songs in the movie.
Okay.
And there's a character named Jude in the movie, so when they, do the Hey Jude, yeah. I was like, I never caught that, because the whole movie they kept calling him Jude, and it never clicked until the song started playing. I was like, that's why he's named Jude. Okay. I was like, okay, do you think Jude Law is named that because of that? Because he's British, too.
He might be.
Because that is not a normal
his
or a
parents
common
might have
name.
liked, some Beatles going on.
Yeah,
and
his parents like the Beatles.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. But anywho, I'm excited. There's not a whole lot to. Yeah, I was gonna say there's not a whole lot in the trailer that they show. It's really flashy and it's just like a bunch of shit. But the one part that made me laugh out loud was when I guess it's their manager or somebody like that.
The guy that's trying to sign them. To their label.
Yeah, and they're playing for him Bohemian Rhapsody, and he's like, bloody hell, man! It goes on forever, 6 bloody minutes, and then Freddie Mercury's like.
I pity your wife if you think that 6 minutes is a long time.
Oh, that shit was hilarious. I laughed out loud. And when I saw Deadpool, this was the trailer, or one of the trailers in front of it, and like that got a really big reaction out of the audience. So I was like, okay. All right. I was like, you got me. I mean, the moment you said you were making a Queen biopic, I was like, take my money. Take it all.
Yep.
But then after seeing the trailer, I was like, okay. And they have the actor from Mr. Robot playing Freddie Mercury.
They do.
Yeah, which I've not seen that show. I hear it's good. But no,
he was also in that Need for Speed movie that kind of flopped.
Oh, with Aaron Paul.
Yeah, and like he steals the Ford Mustang and he drives across country.
Oh,
and
damn.
Had Michael Keaton briefly in it.
He was in that too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
He was the guy that was running the coast to coast race.
Oh. Interesting. Maybe I should check it out.
The movie wasn't too bad. It was a lot worse, or
I need to see,
a lot
even if I
better
just
than what I was expecting, you know?
Sure. Even if I just watch it for Michael Keaton's part, I just need to see that. Because anything Michael Keaton's in, I'm all about
I
it.
mean, he doesn't have a large part. You know, it pops up on the screen and Michael Keaton's there and he's like looking into a computer and he's hearing all these scanners about what this kid's doing across the country. And, you know, he just pops in real briefly.
Okay, so he just sounds like a supporting role.
Yeah, it's like a video, like a Skype call to
Oh,
Michael Keaton.
never mind.
But
He did that shit in his basement.
He's the one that's running the coast to coast race. Like he's the whole guy that sets everything up.
The brains behind operation,
Yeah.
so to speak. Okay. But yeah, no, I haven't seen the actor in anything. He kind of has a weird shaped face. But whatever, I ain't finna hate on the dude.
Yeah, but Freddie Mercury had a weird shaped face.
True. They did a good job of trying to, or finding somebody who looked close enough to Freddie Mercury to where it's like, well, you know, we throw the mustache on him and it's good enough.
Right.
It's close enough. But them fucking, oh my God. Is that why Freddie Mercury grew out his mustache? Is because he had them big ass goddamn teeth and that fucking overbite.
Could have been.
Like when he's talking and he says that line about I feel bad for your wife or whatever, his teeth are like over his chin. It was like so crazy. And then when they have a part where the guy is doing a guitar solo for Bohemian Rhapsody, and he stops and he's like, now what? And then Freddie Mercury's on the other side of the sound booth and he's like, that's where the operator section comes in. I was like, oh my God. I was like, your teeth are huge. It was hilarious though. But I mean, any other thoughts on Bohemian Rhapsody?
Well, Bohemian Rhapsody happens to be my absolute all-time favorite Queen song. And it has, you know, reasons that most of our listeners will probably be like, what the hell? I was a huge fan of Wayne's World as a kid. Mm-hmm. And I even made a joke about us being like Wayne's World off mic the other night. So Bohemian Rhapsody I was like 3 and I got this tape and I watched it over and over and over again. So Bohemian Rhapsody happened to be my favorite song off the album. And then
Are you
the Wayne's World album.
Okay.
Not the Queen album.
Gotcha.
And so once I got older and I started like developing my own taste in music, I went, and of course every playlist I had to have Bohemian Rhapsody on it.
Sure.
Well, when you look up one, you know, you get the entire list of, okay, this is the artist and the name. Mm-hmm. This is other songs by the artist.
Right.
So I kind of got into Queen way after, you know, watching Wayne's World as a kid.
Yeah, I think that was probably the first time I ever heard Bohemian Rhapsody was in that movie as well. Because, I mean, if you've been to any sport, if you live in America, even if you've never been to a sporting event, and even if you didn't go to a high school basketball game, you've heard We Will Rock You at some point in your life.
Absolutely. And then in the 90s, it was in everything.
Yeah, like We Will Rock You. What's the other one they play at games a lot?
The basketball one. Is that the one you're talking about? Or are you talking about the Queen song?
It's a Queen song.
We Are the Champions.
We Are the Champions. Thank you. Yes. We Are the Champions and We Will Rock You are the most overplayed songs probably ever, but at sporting events, hands down. Like, there is no other song at sporting events. They just, those two. And I'm curious if in the movie they'll show when people started picking that up and using it at sporting events and stuff.
I don't know. It kind of looked like
because
it was going to follow them closer to like their origin rather than, you know, what happened afterwards.
Well, I was always curious how Freddie Mercury would have felt or did feel like if he knew while he was alive about how culture kind of appropriated his music for these like supposed to be masculine, you know, like go get him, yeah, kill these motherfuckers and shit, all this shit. And Freddie Mercury is as gay gets. His He got the porn star mustache, wearing wife beaters and shit. And
with his nipples hanging out.
I know, and I'm just like, yeah, man.
That video, did you see that video? We were looking up something last week in the video where he's wearing the dress and he's got the... What video was that?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know. I don't remember what the song was, but yeah, or the video. But no, I know what you're talking about, but no, I can't remember. But no, I mean, I like I said, I'm all about the queens, so yes, bring on the Mercuries.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That was a weird analogy.
I'm excited. Like, when I saw the trailer on the Deadpool movie, that was after you and I had already previewed it.
Sure.
And my inner geek was like geeking out, and I looked
over.
over.
Oh yeah, it's much better in surround sound.
I looked over
screen.
and I'm like, we gotta go see this movie. And Ty was just like, who are those people?
Stop playing.
I swear to God, no, he doesn't.
He's heard these songs before.
Like, he has no
He's
idea
never
who
heard
these
We Are
people
the Champions. He's never heard We Will Rock You.
Bohemian Rhapsody until him and I were sitting there, and I'm like, I've played these songs. I have them on my...
He's like, I just zone that shit out. He's like, when I start hearing that shit, I just,
Pretty much. Anything that's not made into, you know, he has a very small music window.
Sure, I mean...
And I'm like, you were deprived as a child.
It's like, you ain't lived, boy. But yeah, you know, I'm all about it. So yeah, bring it on. Anyway, moving on.
It'll have to be one you and I go see. Because he's going to sit there and be like, eh.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, it'll probably be me, you, and Amber, because I know she likes Queen too. So if he don't want to go, it's like, hey.
We'll drag him along too.
Right. I was going to say, I'm like, hey, shit, I'm all about this. It's like, I'll sit through the sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody. Anywho, I'm going to fuck up her name, but I'm going to try to say it. Morena Baccarin?
Sure, we'll go with that.
That's close? Okay, something like that. It's kind of, sort of. Yeah. Morena Baccarin, who is Deadpool's girlfriend in the Deadpool movies, and apparently she's in Gotham?
Yes, she plays Lee Tompkins in Gotham.
Don't know who that is.
She briefly is engaged to Jim Gordon, and then there's a big mess up of where he can't pick work over being with her, so she leaves him, and then she marries into the mob, into the Falcone family.
As you do.
And then Jim Gordon has to kill her new husband because he gets infected with the virus.
As you do.
From Alice Tetch's brother, the Mad Hatter. And then she goes and she ends up resenting him. And so she'll go to the poor side of Gotham and she's trying to, you know, be a helpful person. And she's currently teamed up with the Riddler at the moment. And
as you do.
Yeah, you know.
You know how these things go. Another day in Gotham.
Day in Gotham. You got it.
That's how it goes. But Miss Baccarin, or Mrs., I don't know. She might be married. Is she foreign?
I don't know.
Because she has a very, I mean, this...
Kind of like a Mediterranean.
we love everyone here at One Giant Leap for Geeks, so please try not to take what I'm about to say out of too much context. They will.
They always do.
She seems foreign. Like when she talks, I feel like I can hear an accent, but like it's very subtle. Because the whole time I was watching the first Deadpool and in Deadpool 2, I'm like, I swear she has some kind of accent, but I can't quite place it. Like, she sounds like she just has a regular American accent, but there's like an underlying something else in there, and I just can't quite place it. It's like someone who speaks fluent English, but still kind of has like a slight Spanish accent to him. But anyway, she wants to play Catwoman in the DCEU. So, I'm getting this from Cinema Blend. It's no secret that comic book movies are everywhere. With 3 shared universes currently competing for box office dominance, there's no shortage of superhero projects hitting the silver screen. As such, tons of actors have gotten in on the action, and with some even appearing in more than one franchise. Just look at Josh Brolin, who runs as Cable in Deadpool, and Thanos in the MCU came one right after the other. Actress Morena Baccarin has already gotten a few comic book characters under her belt, playing Vanessa in the Deadpool franchise and Lee Tompkins in Gotham. Still, rumors have circulated that she might be interested in playing a villain like Catwoman in the DCEU's movies. And now she has confirmed it, saying, "It's true, I wanted to play Catwoman forever." Well, that's pretty cut and dry. Morena Baccarin is ready to add another superheroic property to her resume and take on the role of Catwoman in the DCEU. Considering the new version of the character will likely make her debut in one of the upcoming DC movies, is definitely the right time for Baccarin to make her intentions known. Morena Baccarin's comment came from her recent Instagram live Q&A. Everyone in the Deadpool team has been doing a ton of press for the highly anticipated sequel, and now it's finally arrived in theaters. Baccarin fielded a ton of questions from fans and on social media, with one eventually asking if it was true that she wanted to be the DCEU's Catwoman. I think she could do it. I think she has the look. I think she has like the kind of sexy, sultry, appeal.
But
I just don't want to see her in the DCEU. I think she's too good to be in the DCEU. Don't let this bullshit drag you down.
Right.
They had already dragged Ben Affleck down. He had tried so hard and spent so much time building his career back up. Like, Ben Affleck was like a joke for years. And he finally got some good movies under his belt, directed some good shit. And it was like, you know what? He is a good actor. Like, we like him. And then he started playing Batman, and he done fell right back off immediately.
See, I've never been off that train. I've been a fan of Ben Affleck since he was on the little, like, boat show.
Did you see Reindeer Games?
Yes, I saw Reindeer Games. I like Reindeer Games.
Man, okay. All right,
like
go ahead.
Reindeer Games, and I like Dogma, and I like...
Dogma's okay.
I didn't care for
the
Geely.
One,
That
yeah, I was going to say Geely, that
I didn't
horse
care
shit.
for Geely, but... Yeah, I've always been a fan of Ben Affleck. Like I said, he had a show in like late 80s, early 90s.
Sure.
And he was on a little sailboat. I can't for the life of me remember the name of it. But they used to show it to us in school. Or they showed it to me in school.
Yeah, he has a special place in your heart then.
Always.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think she's too good for the current state of things in the DCEU right now. I don't want to see anybody fail, but if they're going to not course correct this shit and not pull themselves out of this slump, then it's like, I don't want to see any more movies coming out of the DCEU, to be honest. I'm kind of over them at this point, because if you're not going to listen to your fans, real quick sidebar. So the reason Marvel is winning and will continue to win is because they take criticism and they take what the fans want and they do it.
Right.
It's like when they say, hey, stop making so many... Spoiler alert for Infinity War. Sorry to cinematically correct. I know you were listening to our last episode and I didn't say it before I made the spoiler. So spoiler alert for Infinity War. Stop listening for the next 15-20 seconds. Shit, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that? Because I stopped with the spoiler alert.
You said something about Infinity War.
Infinity War, okay. People complained about... Okay, maybe make that 30 seconds. People complained about...
how nobody died.
Marvel, they don't take any chances. There's no stakes. Everything's just a game, yada, yada, yada. So Infinity War comes out. They like, fuck it, we killing everybody. Like, you want to complain? All right, everybody. And then things that people want to see, it's like, oh, we want to see Smart Hulk. So we get that. People wanted the World War Hulk. If it's more than if it's two W's in one phrase, I can't say it.
The World War Hulk?
Yes, thank you. But they can't make any more solo Hulk movies, so they were like, okay, how can we still give them this without being able to make a separate Hulk movie?
Ragnarok.
We'll throw him into Ragnarok, because that whole little thing with him being a gladiator and fighting people, that's a whole Hulk story that Thor is not even involved with. Right. They just mashed those two together. And just like all kinds of shit. Seeing different characters pair up, bringing Spider-Man into it. They listen and they go, okay, this is what y'all want. We'll give it to you. And then we give them all the money.
Yep.
DC? Okay, spoiler, done. DC, on the other hand, they're like, hey, lighten the characters up. Don't make it so this, that, and the other. And then they double down on the shit. And they're like, no, fuck you. This is super serious. Or
dark and creepy.
Oh, God. Or they go so far in the other direction that it's like, that's not what I meant. When I say, hey, I want something fun and funny, I don't mean Suicide Squad. You don't have to go that far in that direction. When I say I want something serious and dark, I don't mean Batman Begins, where Batman is literally standing over Superman about to kill him, stepping on his throat.
Batman.
Right, going like, like, you're not a man, you were never a man. Like, oh, God.
That was BVS, by the way, not Batman Begins.
Is that what I said? I thought I said Batman versus Superman.
No, you said Batman Begins.
Whoops, sorry. Well, yeah, they know the fucking movie I'm talking about. Yeah, BVS.
But I agree, Batman Begins is like, I'm Batman.
Yeah. Well, we know you don't like any of those movies.
But still, I mean, Batman Begins is crazy and dark. And
Sure. But I mean,
it just got worse.
True. But I mean, DC at that point was kind of like on a high. Like when Batman Begins to The Dark Knight Rises came out, that's when they were at their peak of popularity. After that, they fucked up everything they've put out since, from Man of Steel all the way up until where we are now with Justice League.
With the exception of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's the only good thing that they've put out. And I only think that movie's decent. But compared to what they've done, it's a fucking Oscar-worthy movie in comparison. But yes, I think Morena Baccarin could be a great Catwoman. I just don't want to see her in the DCEU. They're going to fuck the character up, or they're going to make me upset that they wasted this actress playing this role, because when they reboot all this shit, they won't cast her again.
Right.
So it'll just be a waste. That's why I'm kind of upset with Ben Affleck, because I think he's a good Batman, good enough.
Yeah.
I think he could be a great Batman with the right writers and directors.
Sure.
But they've thrown him into this bullshit and they've wasted him. And it's like they can't fix it now. Now they keep trying to find somebody to replace his ass with. So it's like, wait until Disney buys out Warner Brothers, then go play Catwoman in the DC MCU crossover movie. Like, then there you go. Then you'll be straight. But
I like her in Gotham, though. I mean,
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Gotham, but I like the character that she's played. I like the way that she's evolved. You know, she's went through different trials and tribulations with Jim Gordon, and I really like the way that they've got her interacting with everybody. So, I mean, she could pull off Catwoman, I agree.
Yeah.
But
I
would hate to see it wasted. I would hate to see her wasted.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. But speaking of Miss Baccarin, so call back to that first thing in the beginning. Remember how I said we saw a movie over this weekend? Well, Deadpool 2 is finally here, boys and girls.
And I saw it first.
Yes, DJ Melly Mel was able to go see it first. What, you saw it on what, Friday?
Opening night.
So Thursday night or Friday night?
I think it was the Friday.
Okay, yeah.
The 18th.
Okay.
Because we carried into the 19th.
Okay, yeah, and I went on Sunday and saw it. And here, I want to try something different this time. Why don't we say how we felt about the movie up front at the beginning, and then we can explain from there. So I'll let you go ahead.
I liked it. I thought it was really funny. Got in there, and there were so many jokes that had my inner geek just like I'd shake my boyfriend next to me and be like, "Oh my god, did you see that? Did you hear that? That's in reference to this, and that's in reference to that, and that's this." And he's just looking at me like, "Oh, okay."
He's like, "That's nice."
I'm like, yep.
He's like, "Oh, what? Hey."
No, I mean he thought it was funny and he enjoyed it. So he kind of, he's not a Deadpool fan. Sure. Not really a comic book fan other than Thor. Sure. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. It's not his thing. But he thought it was a good movie. I liked how this one was more than just blowing shit up and stabbing things. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of that in there.
Of course.
But there was an actual story there. Like, when I saw the first one, there was a story, but you kind of had to look for it a lot more than what you did in the second one. Yeah, no,
it was basically, I heard someone else say this, and I agree. The first Deadpool is almost like a proof of concept. It's like, hey, we can make this into a movie, but it almost feels like an outline to a story. Right. Like, it's not a full story. I mean, it has a full, but a lot of it takes place on that freeway, and stuff like that, where he's fighting Ajax and all that, or at the very end when they're fighting on the aircraft carrier thing from S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's okay. I thought that the jokes in this were hilarious. Sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't like it.
Really?
I know.
See,
and you
I
would
didn't
think that I would
care
have
for
loved
the
it.
first one.
Really? See, I'm the opposite. Okay, I'm not gonna say that I didn't like it. It's serviceable. It's good enough. It's funny. All that jazz. But I like the first one miles better than I like this one, and I will tell you why. Because there's too much story in this movie. It made me not like it. First off, spoiler alert.
Okay.
See, one of these days we're going to figure out how we're going to do these reviews. I don't know. We should just break it up into halves and do no spoilers, then spoilers, or just talk openly about it. We're just going to spoil the whole fucking thing. Because I don't know how to talk about it without spoiling it. So, okay. Spoilers for Deadpool 2. Sorry, guys. It wasn't my intention at first, but I'm like, man, everything I want to say, I can't say it. So, spoilers.
I know. I've been thinking that the whole show. Like, when you made a joke earlier, and I was like, oh, that was in Deadpool. And then you did another one. I was like, oh, that was in Deadpool too.
Yeah. But okay, so spoiler alert for Deadpool 2. They kill Morena Baccarin's character within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yes, they did.
And that left a bad taste in my mouth that never went away. Like, from the moment that happens, I was like, wait a minute. And then, okay, they try to do that thing, and I always make a joke about this. You can get away with anything as long as you bring attention to it. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of what Deadpool's secret sauce is, the secret behind his charm, is that they can do ridiculous, silly shit. And they know it's dumb, and they know it's silly. But then they look at the camera, and they tell you they know it's dumb. And then they continue to do it. So it's like, once they've acknowledged it, then you're like, okay, well, as long as you know this is dumb, I'll go with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you'll watch something and it'll be super serious, and then they'll do something that'll take you out of it. And you'll be like, wait a minute, he would have died at that. And then if somebody makes a comment of, that should have killed you, you'll be like, yeah, you're right. And then you kind of go with it because they've acknowledged it. The movie acknowledges the fact that it was bullshit that they killed her character in the opening credits. Because they're like, what the hell just happened? Like, I can't believe, they killed her or whatever. Like, I think there's one that says, where it should say starring Ryan Reynolds. It says starring someone who apparently doesn't like to share the spotlight. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, and I didn't realize how true that statement was until close to the end of the movie. When they kill the entire X-Force before they do anything. And I was just like, okay. It was a funny gag. But at the same time, it made me realize, I was like, these movies are always going to just be about you. I'm like, you're never going to be a part of an ensemble. It's just going to be about you.
Right.
And a little Deadpool for me goes a long way. I love that character. I think he's hilarious. But after 20 minutes of him, he becomes grating. And it's like, I remember in Infinity War, spoilers for Infinity War again, sorry.
If you ain't seen it by now, I mean.
I feel bad because there was a guy that listened to our show this week and he was doing a review, and I guess last week I said a spoiler before I said spoiler alert, and he was like, I still hadn't seen it yet. And I was like, I'm sorry, I thought it was safe by now, so sorry. Folks are cinematically correct. My bad. Anyway, Infinity War. You remember how Peter kept making all these pop culture references and shit?
Yes.
And I can't remember who the character is, but somebody finally says, like, okay, enough with the pop culture references. Like, stop. Mm-hmm. The whole movie, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, we get it. Enough. It is funny.
See, that was the part that I liked the most.
But see, this is my thing. There's a lot of jokes in there that are so inside baseball that your average moviegoer is not going to get it. Like when he makes the joke at the very beginning, when he has the doll of Logan.
The Logan music box.
Yeah. And it's the scene where he dies at the end of Logan where the thing has impaled him and he's laying on the stump and he dies there and it's just spinning.
Yes.
If you haven't seen that movie, you won't get that joke. Or when he makes references to him being in Green Lantern. If you never saw Green Lantern, you don't know that. When he kills the Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine at the end in the Stinger credits.
Yeah.
Or just references that he makes. He makes a reference to Rob Liefeld, I think it's his name. He's the guy who created Deadpool, the character. And about he says something about he makes a joke about something about a guy who can't draw feet or something like that, because I guess the artist, he has a problem drawing feet in real life. But that's such an obscure reference and so comic book dense that if you don't know who created Deadpool, you don't read the comics, you don't know the writers and artists, you're like, what the fuck does that mean? I didn't even get that joke. It's like you laugh because it's like, I know I'm supposed to be laughing right now, but I don't get why that's supposed to be funny. And there was a lot of jokes throughout where I was like...
that's kind of how Tyler was through the whole
thing. Where I was like, I got that, but I know a lot of these people in this audience did not get that. So unless you've watched all of them... When he calls Cable Thanos.
Yes.
You know, it's like, if you don't know that Josh Brolin plays Thanos in the MCU or didn't see Infinity War or whatever, that joke doesn't mean anything.
I actually asked me that as we were walking out. He's like, so who's Thanos? I'm like...
He saw the movie with...
I said, the big purple guy from Infinity. Oh, the guy that was collecting the stones? Yay!
They only say his name like 36 times in the movie, but whatever, yeah. Tell me his name again. Thanos. But yeah, so I just feel like some jokes landed really hard, but a lot of them really weren't all that funny.
See, and I'm the opposite side of that. I liked all of those references, all of those jokes, all of the cracks at the X-Men. I liked all of that because I know about all of that.
Sure.
And so to me, it was all hilarious. And I didn't give a fuck what the rest of the people thought.
Well, the bit where he's in the X-Mansion and he's complaining about how the X-Men are never there and he only sees Colossus and Sonic Teenage Warhead. I always fuck up that name. And then they cut to them like closing a door. They're like, shh. I thought that was really funny. Mm-hmm. And that was a good bit. But what's really even more funnier about that joke is the meta part to it. He says in the movie, he's like, what? He's like, the studio doesn't want to pay to have, more than just you guys here, this, that, and the other. And then we see the X-Men. Mm-hmm. In the cast list, they are uncredited in the movie. So they did it for free, basically. They're in the movie, but they're not in the credits, in the cast list.
I wonder if they just took a part of one of the X-Men movies and put it
They have been filming X-Men Dark Phoenix, which was supposed to come out this year, but...
December.
Yeah, but I think they probably... Because they're using that same set and everything.
Well, sure.
It's the same X-Mansion house that they've always used, so...
Well, it's like the end where the Stinger credits where he's killing off the Deadpool from...
I think he just used stock footage.
They used. They didn't actually use the.
Yeah, because Hugh Jackman looked too young in that, and I was like, hell no! Unless y'all did some CG on him, he don't look that damn young anymore. I mean, he still looks good, but I was like, nah, no.
Yeah, they just like spliced part of that. That's what I was thinking. Maybe that scene was from one of the X-Men movies. It was such a small scene that I didn't really...
I almost didn't catch it.
I was too busy laughing my ass off,
if Beast hadn't have been the one to close the door and I saw his blue fur, I probably wouldn't have even caught them in the background. Because the way it's shot straight on so you can see him, but Deadpool is in the foreground, so you're focused on him and they're in the background. Mm-hmm. So when the door started closing, I saw the blue and I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's the X-Men back there. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a fucking hater.
When he come out in Professor X's chair, I about lost it.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I'm like, oh my God. And then when they were in the prison and the guy was like shaking the prison, I was like, who the hell could that be? And when I heard him stomp, then I knew it was the Juggernaut.
It's funny because, and shout out to fucking CBR. Comic Book Resources, fuck y'all. Suck a dick. I fucking unfollowed their ass for that bullshit. So
I missed it.
I hadn't seen it on Twitter.
Okay.
Or I hadn't seen the movie yet, and I was on Twitter, and I have been doing pretty good about avoiding spoilers for shit. And these sons of bitches posted something about God damn it, I'm blanking on his name. Oh, Mr. Sinister. About how Mr. Sinister is in Deadpool 2. Now, he's not actually in the movie, but you remember the orphanage thing that kid was at, Fire Fist? It was called like the Essex House or something like that, and that's the real name of Mr. Sinister. And Mr. Sinister is this villain in the X-Men universe who's done all kind of crazy shit. He's cloned Jean Grey, I think, and I think he's the reason. Yeah, because technically Cable is... Oh, God. Give me a moment to explain Cable and his backstory. Cable is the son of Scott Summers and Jean Grey, but a clone of Jean Grey. So it's the real Scott, a clone of Jean Grey, who was then sent to the future to be raised by, I think, future versions of themselves, and then the real Jean Grey and Scott go to the future and help raise him as a teenager. It is convoluted and silly as shit. Okay. It is that 90s comic book bullshit. All that just dumb, overly masculine, back when they drew everybody with like 6-packs in their jaw.
All, like, buffed up.
Yeah, and it was just like absurd like character designs and just scenarios, and they got like 90 guns and 15 ammo pouches. Mm-hmm. That's why he makes that joke about the fanny pack. Yeah. Because back in the 90s, they drew everybody with, even Deadpool. I mean, he has
everybody had a fanny pack.
Yeah, pockets and shit now, but they just had all kind of like the old school Batman utility belt that were pouches instead of like a belt. Mm-hmm. That, but just all over their body. It was just pouches everywhere. And it's like, why? Like, what are you carrying? Jesus. But anyway, I thought that they would actually make fun of that shit and about how silly his backstory is and about the kind of time in comic books that he comes from. They never made any mention of it. He makes fun of Cable just on the surface shit that we as an audience can see.
Sure.
Oh, you have a metal arm. You're from the future. But it's like he doesn't actually go into any of the lore shit that I figured that would be the first thing he'd tear apart. Because they made it a point in these movies to almost kind of tear down tropes in superhero movies and things like that while still celebrating them at the same time.
I was a member of the X-Men.
Right. It's like he makes fun of the superhero landing, but then he keeps doing it in the movies. And it's like, okay, they're trying to have it both ways. They're trying to make fun of superhero movies, but then they still want to be a superhero movie.
Right.
They pretend that they don't, but at the end of the day, if he could be an Avenger, he would.
Yep. Everybody wants to be like Mike.
Hey, I'll take it. But I don't want to, and I know everything I'm saying is probably making it sound like I didn't like the movie. I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Do I think it was as good as the first one? Fuck no. Do I think I would watch it again? Probably. Is it something that I feel you need to go see in theaters? No. No. There's nothing.
I don't think I saw the first Deadpool in theaters. And
it's unfortunate because I want the movie to be successful because I want to see them continue to make more. But at the same time, there was nothing about it that's cinematic enough to be like, oh, I need to go to the theaters and see this. There's no big crazy fight scene that you go home talking about on the way in the car. There's no big special effect or anything. There is the big CG fight, which he does bring attention to it. And that's why I said, if you bring attention to it, you can do anything. Because he says, big CG fight coming up, and then Colossus and Juggernaut go off and start fighting. Yeah. And it's like, again, if you bring attention to it, you can just do whatever you want. Which, I had no problem with the fight. The CG actually looked pretty good on both of them. Juggernaut looks the best he's ever looked in any live action version. Well, the two, this and fucking X-Men The Last Stand? Yes, the third one.
Yeah.
And that dude, I think it was like Vinnie Jones or something like that. The dude, they got to play him, and they just put like a muscle suit over him so you could tell it was fake, but it was supposed to be his bare skin, like he was just really jacked.
Yeah.
And it just looked weird, and it was dumb. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch! Like that whole thing was dumb. This Juggernaut, though, dope as shit. I was like, I can get with that. That is what the Juggernaut, he should be huge compared to a normal person. So he made Colossus look little, and you know how big he is compared to everybody else.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, that's the way Juggernaut should be. But as far as the supporting cast, what they did with the X-Force, I still can't get past that. They pulled a Marvel with this shit. So remember in the trailer to Infinity War, when it first came out, and I think all the ones that came out after that, they have the scene where they're all running in slow motion in Wakanda, and they're running towards the camera, and Cap is in the front, and then you see the Hulk back there. He never turns into the Hulk besides at the beginning of the movie. That scene is not in the movie. He is not the Hulk in Wakanda. No. They lied to us in the trailer, which that's fine. In the Deadpool trailer, there are multiple shots of the X-Force fighting people. Mm-hmm. Mike, there's one of Terry Crews punching a dude in the middle of a street. That never fucking happens. Because he's dead before he even hits the ground. So I'm like, they shot a bunch of fake shit that's not in the movie to throw you off in the trailer. Because in this day and age of people picking apart trailers and analyzing everything, if you're good and you pay close attention, you can piece good chunks of the movie together just off of a teaser trailer, let alone multiple trailers. So I've been noticing studios have started filming or placing fake shit in the trailers that's not in the movie to give you the idea that a certain character is alive at some point, which they won't be, or a certain event happens at some point that doesn't. And in the trailer, what was the guy's name? Starfire? No, not Starfire. What was it? The one, he had the white jumpsuit and the long red hair and the swords and shit. Star Screamer or some shit. I don't know. He was like, I'm an alien from this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. It was his whole backstory was just dumb. But then, I don't know. The X-Force isn't like a cool group of characters to begin with, but I need something to counterbalance Deadpool. I do. Like, I like Deadpool, but it's too much. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping that Cable would be that counterbalance. He's not. No. He's the straight man, but he's not in it enough. And I feel bad for Josh Brolin because do you see that man? He is a fucking beast now. Like, that dude has muscles, and it's ridiculous. Like, the training that he did to be Cable, he didn't do none of this shit for Thanos because he's CG in that. He ain't got to do nothing. Right. He just ate chips the whole fucking time. Wiping crumbs off his shit. Oh, I got some on the stones. Hang on. But I got some peanut butter on the Infinity Stone. Hang on. But for Cable, you know, it was actually him, and he got in that shape for this role. And I'm like, he's barely in the fucking movie. Y'all made this motherfucker go through like the most rigorous training he's probably ever done in his life to be in a movie for like 30 minutes of an hour and a half, almost 2 hour movie. And he doesn't say a whole lot even when he is there. Like,
no, he's got these short one-liners.
Yeah, and I was like, and I get it. That's how that character was in the 90s. But if we're going to have him be like that, then we have to make fun of that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't think they're interested in doing, you know... I don't know, man. I just feel like because the first one was so successful, they just kind of let Ryan Reynolds off his leash and just let him go do whatever. Because if you notice, he's a co-writer and an executive producer on this one, which he was not on the first one. So I was like, he had his hands very on this one. You know, I mean, to the point where I'm pretty sure he got the director of the first movie fired. And that's why it's a different director on this one, because they were clashing about the direction that the movie should go. Yeah. And he was like, bitch, I am Deadpool. Okay, this is my shit. This shit would not exist without me. So your thoughts and your, you know, little suggestion box can go to hell. Because he's like, this is my show. This is for me. But I mean, if I would have had more of the X-Force, or just maybe more of Cable and... really anybody.
I'd have liked to see more Cable.
Yeah.
Now, you know how we keep getting all these sidebar B-list movies here?
Sure.
I'd be okay with a Cable movie.
Yeah, I would watch that, yeah.
Like, we're getting all these weird shit, Venom and Luke Cage and all this other shit.
Sure.
I'd be alright with just a Cable movie. Not necessarily for him to have a villain or... anything, just like a little bit more backstory for him. I'd be cool with that. It'd be an interesting...
I would want to see a Domino movie.
Yeah, that would be cool. She was my favorite one out of the whole thing.
I was just about to say, out of everybody in that movie, everybody, including Deadpool, she was my favorite character in the movie. She's not in it for nowhere near long enough, but for the scenes that she is in, she steals like that little back and forth that they have about like, no, I think it is. No, I think it's not. About her power being a power. Yeah. And that was good. She held her on there. and that whole action sequence with her getting in the truck and the fight scenes with her and the guards in the hospital and everything else, like all of her shit was really cool.
She lands on the big giant panda.
Yeah, and I like the way that they visually showed her power. It was almost like some Final Destination type shit. Like it was another outside force like helping her. It was like she'd hit one dude and then he'd fall and knock over a coffee mug, and that coffee mug would spill and activate something else. And it was like this Rube Goldberg machine of shit that just kept happening. And I was like, this is actually pretty fucking cool. So, yeah, Domino, I'd take it. And that chick was fucking hot, too. Yeah. So, yeah, more of that, please. Please.
It was cool.
Overall, I like Deadpool 2. I don't hate the movie. But it could have been better for me. And hey, if somebody loves it and thinks it's better than the first one, I totally understand why you would say that. I just think that they went too big and too much, and it just kind of overwhelmed me and just made me not like it. Then, and like I said, because they killed the girlfriend at the very beginning to set up plot shit for him, it's like, okay, we can't think of a way to give Deadpool a character arc, so let's just kill his girlfriend, and that will be his character arc, and about how he wants to be a father, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, you didn't have to kill her to do that. No. You could have still had him save the kid and everything else. She didn't need to die to try... Because they know that they don't have real depth and stakes and heart to the thing. And this is one of the things that you like about it. I think that they incorporated killing her in there so they can be like, now he has these flashbacks to her and he wants to kill himself or die so they can be together and yada yada. Like, I was like I didn't like that. Like, especially just to use it for some plot shit. I'm like, if y'all had a real story to tell with like who killed her, because I thought that the movie was going to then turn into, oh, okay, he's going to go find who sent them people to his house or whatever. And he was like, no, I killed all of them. They all dead. And I'm like, so then why kill her then? Like, what was the point of doing that if this doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the movie? Like, all the shit with him and the kid and Cable and all that, nothing would have had to have changed. She could have still stayed alive. I don't know. I'm blaming that for why I didn't like the movie. I'm just going to put that out there. But anything else that you want to say on Deadpool?
No, I mean, I think you're 100% right. I don't think that
she's like, you were wrong, motherfucker. That shit was hilarious.
I definitely don't think it's worth going to see in the theaters.
No.
I mean, had the opportunity not come up, we didn't pay for the tickets. A friend of ours had invited us out.
Oh, nice.
Because it happened to be that Tyler's birthday was the 19th. So they were sliding it in that, oh, we're going to go see the late showing and have breakfast. But it was really for his birthday. So.
But yeah.
But no other questions. I mean, I thought it was funny. I would have liked to seen her throughout, you know, because I liked her in the first Deadpool. I think
their relationship is what kind of carried that movie.
Yeah.
That whole montage of them having sex throughout the holidays and all that was endearing, and that made me like them as a couple.
Yeah, I wanted to see more of how their relationship was going to grow, especially how the movie starts. You know, he's like, oh, well, it's our anniversary, and, you know,
we should have a baby.
Well, that's a big scene in of it itself.
Sure.
You know, remembering an anniversary is one thing. Deciding that, hey, you guys are going to have a baby, that's a big thing and a big step. And anybody who has been at that point in a relationship and they're like, here's my birth control, let's do this. I'm finally ready here.
Throw that IUD down the garbage disposal. Like, all right. It was funny because when she pulls it out and shows it to him, I was like, what the fuck is that? My girlfriend leans over to me. She goes, I know what that is. I was like, I didn't know what the fuck is. I was trying to figure out. I was like, is that like a bread tie? Like, what the hell did she show him?
I knew what it was right away.
I was like, oh, okay. But I was like, yeah, no, I am apparently ignorant to IUDs. Am I saying that right? IUD? I think, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, inner uterine. So yeah.
Device.
IUD.
Okay. It's that time again for America's #1 show, Dumb Shit of the Week. That's right, Dumb Shit of the Week is the show where you, yes, you, submit your findings of dumb shit and we talk about it. Want your submission on the show? Find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or you can email us at officialOGLFG@gmail.com. Now here's your host, DJ Melly Mel.
Thank you. All right, dumb shit of the week. We had quite a few submissions this week. The first one is going to be fasting and brown sugar on Frosted Flakes. I can't even say that with a straight face, but it's from 4 Fat Guys at 4 Fat Guys Show. Got to get that whole thing out there. Apparently he fasted, and so tell me more about that.
Sure. Roach, he's one of the hosts of the show, and what he would do is he would fast. Now, for those of you who may not know what fasting is, it's just going, a sustained period of time without eating. And he would fast for 24 hours before Steelers games. Steelers as in the football team, the Steelers. Yes. And it was funny because when he commented on the tweet that I put out about Dumb Shit of the Week, I was like, oh my God, that's disgusting. I was like, the Steelers?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, because I'm like, really? He likes the fucking Steelers? But
hey,
whatever.
no.
I mean, hey, I ain't gonna hate on them. Black and yellow. I'm not gonna hate. But as well, now this is a separate thing from that. He just, one of them superstitious, good luck charm,
Sure.
whatever.
American sports are full of them, and I'm sure
Right.
international sports are as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Especially soccer.
Baseball.
Or the real football. Anyway, he also puts brown sugar on his Frosted Flakes. Now, the cereal is already frosted. It's in the name. It's
right.
Frosted Flakes. It's sugared, coated cereals. And in my personal life, I think it's fucking gross as shit, but I have seen people pour regular sugar over Frosted Flakes. I know why you would do that. Who knows? This dude pours brown sugar over his Frosted Flakes.
Okay. What does that have to do with him fasting?
These were just two separate things.
It's just two separate.
Yeah, I said these are just two dumb things that he does. They don't have any relation to each other.
Okay.
They're just dumb shit.
I thought maybe like that was his last meal before his
No.
fast.
Oh, God. Shit. Well, probably. I wouldn't want to eat much of shit else after that anyway. So, it's just fucking gross.
Brown sugar is bitter on its own.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Roach. Well, it's not on its own. It's on Frosted Flakes.
Well, I know, but when it's not mixed into anything,
Sure.
it's not going to stick to the Frosted Flakes. It's going to melt and dissolve into the milk that is in the cereal. So now your milk's going to be bitter because brown sugar is bitter, and then you got the funk of Frosted Flakes.
I don't understand.
I don't like Frosted Flakes.
The appeal, though. It's like, I don't know many people who just have brown sugar on tap at the ready in their house anyway. Yeah, maybe a little bit for baking or something, but to have enough to pour on cereal, I was like, I don't know anybody that has the most brown sugar in their house. They have like a hard block that's been in there for like 6 years.
Flakes that often that can constitute buying brown sugar, because brown sugar is expensive. That's why you only use it for baking.
Hey, motherfucker likes brown sugar, man. Hey, I mean, I'm not gonna hate on it. I mean, I guess I am, because Roach, you're fucking disgusting, but but I mean, hey, if you know what, maybe I just need to get really hammered one day and then get that drunk hunger where you'll just eat anything, and maybe it'll be
never
good.
been that drunk.
Yeah. Plus, alcohol and milk don't do too well together anyway.
Maybe if you're gonna experiment with this, have a stoner get it
right.
and be. Hey, Seamus.
right. Yeah, Seamus, we got one for you. We need you to eat some brown sugar Frosted Flakes. He's going to hear this and be like, fuck both of you.
But we want you back on the show.
Right, no, for sure. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so second submission, the Yakuza, there we go. Phone threats, the Hanzai podcast, true crime stories from Japan, at Hanzai, Hanzai podcast.
Yeah, the Hanzai podcast, True Crime Stories from Japan is the name of their show. Yeah.
Right. ran it all together. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good.
So this guy prank called.
I don't think it was a prank call.
No, he like dialed 90 different phone numbers.
No. He called the same number 90 times.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was, I think it was something about, he was like trying to threaten somebody to kill them. Like,
okay.
Maybe like, oh, you owe us protection money. Yeah. And he called 90 times and then he sent threatening text messages like, I'm going to kill you if you don't answer or this, that, and the other. And lo and behold,
okay then.
I know, yeah, some crazy shit. And I guess lo and behold,
even more crazy than what I was
thinking that it was. Yeah.
Originally, I thought it was just he was making different phone calls. Called the same number for 90 different times. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming consecutively. Mm-hmm. And then this old 60-year-old lady answers the phone and. He got scared. So,
well, I wonder, and I should have probed him more and asked him. Thanks, guys at Hanzai Podcast. I should have asked, but like if she ever actually answered the phone, or if she took like any voicemails, or do they have like the text message transcripts? Like I want to just see or hear
for him to be arrested.
Sure.
I'm sure that she took all of that.
Sure.
To the police and was just like, do something about this. Even if the guy had the wrong number.
This is my thing though. Could you imagine calling somebody 90 times in one day? I don't
even like calling somebody 5 times in a day.
Like I would imagine.
You answered my phone call in 5 times. It ain't important enough for me to call you back. You can call me.
And I would imagine that these phone calls probably took place over the course of a few hours or so, maybe.
Sure.
And it just makes me wonder, like, after a while, you think the guy's just kind of sitting there, like, with his hand on his head and just kind of got his phone on the table and he just keeps hitting call, and just hang it up, call it again, hang it up, call it again. Because I'm like, 90 phone calls is a lot of phone calls. So you would think after about, like, 37, he's just like, man, I'm just going to autopilot this shit. Like, I know they're not going to answer, but I just want them to be scared.
Right.
Like, I'm not even threatening them anymore. I'm just going to keep calling them to just make them go crazy.
Just keep calling and calling.
But this is my thing. What kind of half-ass mob person are you? Because the Yakuza is the Japanese mafia.
Okay.
And what kind of half-ass mob person are you that... I don't know. I grew up watching The Godfather and shit. I know if you fuck them over, you get one phone call if you lucky, and the phone probably gonna blow up when you go to hang it up too and kill you. But
this message will self-destruct.
Pretty much. But with these motherfuckers, I'm like, you made 90 phone calls? What is that doing for your reputation? After 16 calls, I'm like, oh, they ain't finna come do shit. I'm like, whatever he's threatening me right now, he ain't finna do shit, because if he did, he would have came over here and did the shit. He wouldn't still be calling my phone.
My thought is, in this day and age where everybody has a smartphone,
sure,
nearly everybody, how are you going to let the same number come through 90 times?
She's 60. She might not know how to get it blocked and shit.
Hey, my grandma's on Facebook. My grandma knows how to do a lot of things. So there are 60-year-old women that are just like, no.
I said she might not. Not
maybe
she
not.
Just outright doesn't, but she might not.
This is true.
Or maybe this isn't the first time something like this has happened. And now we're just going off on our own fantasy. What happened?
To it. She's like, oh damn, the Yakuzas are calling.
Right. Maybe she did do something across the Yakuza, and they were trying to kill her, and it was like, hey, I got to get all this evidence so I can get protection, from these motherfuckers.
Right. That could be too.
But for all of you who are concerned, he was found and arrested. So the little old lady is at peace now.
She is now safe.
But go ahead.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good way to say it, yeah.
Moving on. All right. So third submission that we had this week was Aaron Schlossberg.
I think that's how you say it.
We'll go with that. And this was sent to us by Christine.
I think it's
Heisler. Oh, the Twitter handle is at IB
Danson 50.
IB Danson. Okay, so Aaron Schlossberg is a New York lawyer, and he's known for going on these racist rants. His most recent outburst was at a Fresh Kitchen restaurant in Manhattan. And he was telling all of the Spanish-speaking workers that they had to speak English or get out of his country.
Yes. Keyword, his country.
His country, yes.
He's king, apparently.
We had a previous encounter with this gentleman in 2016. He told...
We didn't. Somebody did.
Yeah, us, not personally. No.
Right, we didn't.
We,
no.
as a society.
Yeah, the Earth, I guess, had an encounter with him.
Everywhere else that's not his kingdom.
Right.
Anyways, he had told a man that he told a guy that he had a guy tell him that he was a citizen.
No. Schlossberg
was the guy
bumped into a guy and told him that Schlossberg, as in him, he's like, I'm a U.S. citizen and you're a ugly fucking foreigner.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, the dude is a piece of fucking work.
Yeah, this guy's a
winner
here.
I'm surprised you haven't seen this video. This is a video to both of these incidents.
Oh, Lord.
They were recording, man. He was saying, and he was like, well, maybe if you're going to live in the United States, you should learn how to speak English and work here and this, that, and the other. It's like, motherfucker, I don't have to do shit to make you feel better.
Yeah.
And then what was fucked up about it is he started talking shit to him and was threatening to call ICE on them, which are the immigration, enforcement people.
Of course.
And when they responded to him,
the dude had lived here his whole life or something.
Well, for one, the one guy wasn't a foreigner at all. The one who he called an ugly fucking foreigner. Mm-hmm. And the Hispanic speaking ladies spoke like damn near perfect English when they actually started arguing with him, because he was talking shit at them because they were talking to each other in Spanish,
right?
Because it was a worker and a customer that were talking to each other.
How is he gonna make the assumption that
they're illegal?
Well,
obviously he has a history of having shit like
still,
this. Yeah.
If I'm out in public and I see Sally and her friend, I'm not going to assume that Sally and her friend are not citizens of this country just because they're looking at me and then they're speaking French.
Sure.
Maybe Sally and her friend just want to talk shit about me.
Right. It's like maybe they know another language and I don't. And I think that's part of... God, I almost didn't bring up this thing because I was like, I don't want to go into political shit, but we're going to dip our toe in just for a quick second. But I think that's a lot of America's problem, is that there's an insecurity level because they don't know shit about the world.
Sure.
Like, to be honest, Americans are dumb when it comes to the rest of the world. We don't know shit about customs, cultures, languages,
Americans are just
shit like that.
Dumb.
In general, true, but we're especially dumb when it comes to how other people act in the world, and we think that, if it's like that here, it's like that everywhere, and it's like, that is the furthest thing from the truth. So because we assume, if we speak English, everybody speak fucking English. So we won't even bother to learn another language and refuse and get pissed off when people speak a different language in front of us because we're too dumb to understand it. So we get angry at them because we don't know what they're saying.
Right.
Not because we don't like the way it sounds, not because it's from a foreigner, but because we can't participate in that. So they don't want it around.
And the assumption is always that they must be foreigners because they speak another language.
Yeah.
I know people that are multilingual, bilingual, trilingual, whatever. If you know more than one language, you fall into one of those categories.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And my boyfriend speaks multiple languages. Mm-hmm. He's born and raised in this country. So the fact that somebody can speak multiple languages doesn't determine whether or not they're a citizen.
Well, that and they were Hispanic specifically. If they'd have been Chinese, Russian, anything else, he may not have said something, but specifically because they're Hispanic women, yeah. I'm gonna call ICE on y'all. Like, okay.
Be like, go ahead.
And even if they were foreign, it's not the problem that he's assuming that they're foreign. The problem is that he's assuming that they're illegal foreigners. Right. So it's like, you could be over here on a visa, on a student thing. You could be married to somebody in the States. You could just be here visiting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's New York. It's like, hey, maybe I'm a fucking tourist. You ever think about that shit? But the fact that he assumed that they were illegal aliens, and it's like, I'm going to get you kicked out of my country. Like, that's the shit. Get over with it. But anyway, thank you, Christine Heisler,
thank you, Christine,
submitting. But I don't want to talk about this motherfucker no more. It's just going to make me angry.
You don't like me when I'm angry.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
All right, so we can keep Mike from hulking out. The fourth submission for the week was chewing on a conference call, and this is from work-life imbalance with the Twitter handle at WLimbalance. And what it was is this guy was on a conference call with 25 different people plus. Someone decided they got hungry and they were going to refuse to mute their mic while they were eating. Sounded like they were chewing on the sloppiest sandwich that I can imagine. And we all had to endure the worst. And it was the worst conference call ever. Okay. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. So I appreciate this submission more than anything else that we, I love all of our people that shouted out to us. I love everybody that sent a submission, but this right here.
Sure.
If you're going to chew or you're going to eat something while you're on the phone with somebody.
Sure.
For the love of God, hit the mute button. Because I don't want to hear you smacking your lips. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear you crunching on something. I don't want to hear any of that. And if you're on a conference call for work,
come
on now.
Yeah. And the thing that cracks me up though is when people aren't on mute, it's always the ones who are doing some shit that they need to be muted on. Because I've never had a situation where, or maybe I did, and because they didn't do anything, I didn't hear them.
Right.
Who knows? But it's rare that there'll be a situation where somebody forgets to mute their phone and they're just dead silent and there's no noise in the background, no nothing, and they're just quiet without the mute button.
Right.
It always seems like the people who don't mute their shit are like working on a fucking like building project or something, or like rustling a bunch of plastic in the background.
Got the kids screaming in the background.
Right. Fucking somebody, talking shit about somebody on a conference call
in
or
the
something.
Bathroom.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh my God, like what is happening right now? Like mute your phone. And then they'll say, please mute your phone. But they so busy fucking around whatever they doing in the background, they don't hear that, so they still just keep making noise. But
like, did we catch you at a bad time? Because
right, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and end this call, and then you guys just call back, and we'll just keep them off of this conference call altogether. But one of the things that I always make jokes about is that people who have that audio thing, right? About sound and stuff like that.
Is that like the one where you can hear different pitches and stuff?
No, not the Yanny or Laurel shit. No, which I hear Yanny, by the way.
There.
Which, if anyone's curious, Mike C. Square hears Yanni, and you hear.
I hear Yanny as well.
Okay, all right, so yeah.
I listened to it on 2 different devices because I read an article that said depending on the device, you're going to hear a different thing. Mm. Even it went down to if you hear it on Samsung or Apple. So there's a difference.
I only heard it just in a video on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, I heard Yanni, and just was like, whatever.
That's
just
it.
Like that fucking
that
white and
dress.
gold, black and blue dress shit. I was like, it's fucking black and blue. I'm like, I don't get right. Yeah, it was black and blue. It was never white and gold. Like
I always ever saw it as white and gold.
See, I was like, how do you see white?
Never saw it.
And when she showed up on the Ellen show with it, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely black and blue. I was like, that shit is not white at all. Because me and Amber argued about that forever. But anyway.
And the shoes. Did you see the one with the shoes?
Nope.
Like it was like gray and pink, and then some people were saying that it was green and yellow.
Oh shit.
I don't know.
No, I haven't seen that one. But so in the DM that he sent me about the person chewing on the conference call and shit like that, they said that they were treated to the worst ASMR experience possible. And I always make this joke about like people who have their like audio sensory thing, but I can never remember the name. ASMR, and I got this from Wikipedia, is Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. And it is a term that is used for an experience characterized by a static-like or tingling sensation on the skin that typically begins on the scalp and moves down the back of the neck and upper spine.
Okay.
It has been compared with... Now, this is what I think he meant, not ASMR, because that is a little bit different. I think you meant... auditory tactile synesthesia. ASMR signifies the subjective experience of low-grade euphoria characterized by a combination of positive feelings and a distinct static-like tingling sensation on the skin. This is like a good version of that. It is most commonly triggered by specific auditory or visual stimuli and less commonly by intentional attention control. Now, auditory tactile synesthesia is certain sounds can induce sensations in parts of the body. For example, someone with auditory tactile synesthesia may experience that hearing a specific word feels like a touch in one specific part of the body, or may experience that a certain sounds can create a sensation in the skin without being touched. It is one of the least common forms of synesthesia, and synesthesia is just sounds have some kind of make your body have some kind of reaction. Either you feel something, you see something. Some people see colors when they hear certain sounds and shit. So it's weird.
I would
it's
say
a brain thing.
I have one of those things. Like I'll hear certain words and I'll
it make you crawl and shit. Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think to some degree, I know visual stuff. Like if I see a bunch of ants or some shit crawling over something, it'll like make me get all tingly.
See, I'll be just sitting there and we'll be talking. Or I'll be talking with Tyler watching a movie or something, and I get this, like, my whole body does, like, a rolling thing. And he'll always ask me, he'll be like, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, just a shiver.
Yeah, just doing a worm. Just
got a shiver. And I never have an explanation for it. And it's very random. So I would assume that it's from a word or a...
Oh, I'm sure. It's some kind of sound or pitch or something that you're hearing that's probably bugging you.
Probably.
But the auditory tactile synesthesia shit, I think that is maybe what he meant instead of ASMR, because it seems like the autonomous sensory meridian response is actually... It's a version of that, but like a positive version of it. And the auditory tactile synesthesia seems like that's a bit more of a neutral to negative version of that. Because I mean, people who I've heard complain about hearing shit and it makes them feel a certain way don't necessarily make it seem like, oh, it was a euphoric, like I enjoyed that. Yeah,
a good thing. Like, please do that again.
Yeah, I know. My dick was hard the whole time. Is that
anything like when you hear you get a fork and a knife and you scratch it across a plate?
It could be a degree. I think that could be considered. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Which I mean that pretty much almost bothers everybody.
Drives
so
me nuts. Well, I mean, I can see where chewing would do that because Tyler, he'll like smack the food out of your mouth if he hears you chewing.
One of the things that I've noticed since we've started doing the podcast and, editing them and just listening to them over and over again, I've noticed, and I don't do this in my normal life, but now that I've been doing the podcast, I've started to mouth breathe. I normally keep my mouth closed and I breathe out of my nose, but I've been mouth breathing more because when you don't, and if I'm not talking for a while, I'm breathing heavier now because I'm mouth breathing. When I normally just keep my mouth shut and breathe normally, when you're talking, once I go to say something, because I have my mouth closed, when I go to first say my first word, I always smack right before I say something. So whenever I'm editing, there will be just this little blip, like really teeny tiny, really quick, and I'm like, that's a smack. Like I've learned what smacks and ums look like in audio form.
Okay.
So like if it's a bigger wave that kind of goes to a pyramid shape, but it's kind of shorter, that's a because it's usually and then it gets quieter.
Right.
And then just a real quick blip, that's probably a smack. So yeah. So even without listening to it, if I can just see your audio spectrum, I can probably tell you where your ums and smacks are in it, just because I've done it so much and tried. And for people who listen for those things, or like, audio files and shit, you're probably like, your audio is nowhere near at the level where it needs to be, nor is your editing at the level where it needs to be. But I'm trying, guys.
We're still kind of pretty low budget.
Sure.
All things considered, we podcasting out of a basement.
Pretty damn much. Shit.
I'm telling you, we're Wayne's World.
Yeah, I know. We keeping it real. Just our basement show. Because I even made that joke when we had Seamus on as well. But anyway, yes. Thank you to everybody who submitted Dumb Shit of the Week. We really appreciate it, and we are going to make this a regular thing for One Giant Leap for Geeks. So
I think so. I like the way that it's went.
Yeah.
I like the direction that this stupid Dumb Shit of the Week thing is. It's added depth.
Yeah,
like it.
Yeah, it's coming together. It's only took 5 months or so to get here, but
nothing's perfect right off the bat.
Sure. Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Sure.
We're finding our groove.
Yeah, it is a work in progress. Come check back in another 5 months and might still be doing this. I don't know.
Our listener base had to start somewhere. So
True.
that one person that liked episode 0,
Sure.
they're still listening.
I hope so. Please,
Please still be
patient.
listening.
Please, patient 0. Please tell me you're still around.
But I mean, they're still listening, and apparently we're getting,
Yeah, I was gonna say we're getting better.
we're
I don't by no means want to be patting ourselves on the back and be gloating and all that shit, because there are podcasts that are much more polished, way better production value, much better content than us that I know deserves to be more higher on ranking list than we are
we're
by
just
far.
2 friends in a Batman room.
Pretty damn much, yeah. Pretty damn much.
But 2 chimps in a Davenport in a basement. I told you that was my favorite movie. Now, for all of you younger people that listen to our show, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you might be able to find it on, Hulu or something. Look up Wayne's World.
Yeah, Wayne's World was awesome. The Saturday Night Live skits were okay. The movies
you'd have to look up Wayne's World, the movie, not the Saturday Night Live skit. And for the love of God, don't look up number 2. That was awful. But the first one was good as it was.
It's kind of like the Austin Powers movies. First one's good. The rest, not so much. Mike Myers he's one and done. Just get him in, get him out.
He didn't quit it.
Get the fuck out. All right, but anyway,
shout out to Mike Myers if you listen. We do
yes, totally. I'm sure. Yeah, Mike Myers is all. He's known for his love of podcasting. So
is he really?
No, fuck no.
See, damn.
No, but it'd be nice. I mean, hey, if you're looking to sponsor a show, Mr. Myers, now he feels like he's Michael Myers when you call him by his last name, which I always thought that was funny as well. Like Michael Myers, I think his name is probably Michael, but he was like, I'm just gonna have him call me Mike.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go with Mike Myers. I don't want to go with Michael Myers. That's
people be like,
yeah, there's too many negative connotations to that. But anyway. Thank you for sitting here with us and listening to us bullshit, but that is it for the show. If you guys want to find us, remember we are always at our home, onegiantleapforgeek.libsyn.com, or you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, TuneIn, CastBox, or really anywhere else you get your podcast. Make sure to show us some love, like, subscribe, follow, rate, review, all that shit.
And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you just want to say hi, you can always email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks. We're on Facebook, Reddit, Pinterest, Tumblr, Instagram. All you have to do is search for One Giant Leap for Geeks. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye.